Now I have to ask y'all a serious question. And I want you to sit back and think about this, because this can be a very, very problematic situation if the government is doing what I suspect them to be doing. I have a feeling that they're using and abusing their HAARP technology for whatever convoluted gains they're going after. We just seen the historical flood, which I don't know about you, but I am pretty positive that that was no natural flood. I believe 100% that it was a man-made flood. We know that they are capable of creating huge earthquakes and thus having tsunamis hit Japan. We remember Fukushima. We can never forget that, because the radiation is still sweeping over and hitting the western side of the United States to this day. When they start playing this God role that they think they can fit into, dangerous things happen, and the dangerous things happen to us, the United States citizens. 20,000 people were displaced in Louisiana. 20,000. And that's just the numbers they give you. I'm pretty sure it was more. How do I know it's more? No even number like 20,000 is going to occur on a statistic. You cannot just perfectly have 20,000 people displaced. That's their way of saying that it's at minimum 20,000 people. And you know there's always those people who are unaccounted for, so you can add several thousand more people to that. Now we're having flash floods in Kansas City after we just had them with West Virginia. We had them in Baltimore. And I'm asking you right now, do you really think that this is natural? Or is it something man-made? If any of you have not heard of HAARP by now, let me give you insight of what this is. It's a man-made apparatus. You can't even call it a machine at this point. It's a bunch of antennae that uses thousands and thousands of volts, and probably other things that we don't know about. From what we know, we're told that it uses thousands of volts to either interact, heat up, or just interact. That's the best way, actually, the best word I could use. Interact with the atmosphere to cause different types of weather phenomena. From this, not only can they create storms such as tornadoes, hurricanes, but they can cause earthquakes. And this is where it really gets dangerous. Because if they wanted to, they can technically create an earthquake and a hurricane. And for the most effective amount of damage, for whatever corrupt, twisted reasons they have, they can do both of them simultaneously, which they haven't been known to do, except for in Japan with that whole earthquake and the tsunami that hit Fukushima. I believe they don't do it because it would be too suspicious. It's already pretty obvious, but unfortunately, people can't quote unquote prove it. And since they can't prove it, the government keeps getting away with it. What would their goal be? To weaken the American infrastructure where the people are trying to prepare. Notice that a lot of these places aren't particularly city, urban. These are areas where more preparation is in the mindset of the citizens. More rural areas where they would have their own boats, their own gear, whether that be different type of vehicles, hunting equipment, and guns. And I don't think it's no accident. I think that they're weakening those places so that if they ever try to do something with a takeover, martial law, then they can have the ability to do so much more efficiently and easier. And another thing that most people, I believe, overlook is that these agencies like FEMA, the Red Cross, if they're not being utilized, their funding gets cut. But if they had convenient huge storms and natural so-called disasters, then guess who not only is still seen as a worth to keep spending these billions and billions of dollars on, but they most likely will get even more funding. Of course, out of taxpayers' dollars. Now, it's one thing to have these situations where if there was a flood or a disaster, you have FEMA come in, if it's natural. But if the government is intentionally doing this so that they can then increase the funding of these organizations, and we got a lot to think about. So what do y'all think? In the comment section, tell me. Is it natural or is it man-made? What's going on here? Does anyone have any extra insight? Anyone works inside of FEMA? Anyone has any reports that they can tell? You can do it anonymously, doesn't matter. You can make an alternative YouTube account and just comment a random comment, but just give us some information about what's going on here.